Hey everyone, welcome back. I hope everyone is doing well today. We have 7 successful through the mail TTM autograph returns today, so let's get right to it. All these players played during the 1950s, so I'm glad to get these players back because, like the rest of us, they're not getting any younger, unfortunately. So, all right, our first one is a 3 of 1. I sent a $5 donation. This was $8. This comes to us from Indianapolis, Indiana. And this first pitcher played for the Brooklyn/Los Angeles Dodgers his whole career from 1948 through 1959. He had a career record of 122 and 78 with a 4 ERA and 981 career strikeouts. He was an AL All-Star. He was an All-Star in 1954, a World Series champion in 1955, and pitched 2 no-hitters. He held the record for most strikeouts in a World Series game with 14 for many years until being bested by Koufax, 15, and Gibson with 17, Bob Gibson. An example of this man's character occurred in 1948 at Ebbets Field when this pitcher came out of the Dodger clubhouse and chatted with Rachel Robinson and Jackie Jr. The players and their families passed through a protected, chained, fenced-in area where the fans could get a glimpse of the ball players as they came out. The next day, Jackie approached this pitcher and said, "I want to thank you for what you did yesterday," he continued. "You know, you stopped out there in front of all those fans and talked with Rachel and little Jack." This pitcher was taken aback. He said, "Hey, Jackie, you can congratulate me on a well-pitched game, but not for that." And this great man, if you have not guessed it, is none other than Mr. Carl Erskine. And here he is on the 1956 Topps card. That looks fantastic. I wish I had more to send. I'll have to see if I can grab a couple more or another one. And he was kind enough to sign 2 index cards for us as well. There it is, signed Carl Erskine, number 17, 1948, 1959 Dodgers, 2 no-hitters, and 1953 World Series strikeout, I think he says record 14 on there. Very awesome. These are very cool. Thank you so much, Mr. Erskine. I appreciate it. I think I might be the last person to ever get him. It took me a while. I was lucky to get that one back for sure. Alrighty. All right, so next up. And this next one is a 1 of 1, 13 days. And this was a $5 donation. This is out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And this next pitcher played from 1949 through 1964. At the age of 6, he suddenly became sick one day. He was sent to the hospital with a high fever and was not expected to live through the night. He survived, and his mother remained by his bedside for a week. He recovered completely and enjoyed a happy childhood. In addition to baseball and football, his favorite pursuits were fishing at a nearby Saratoga Lake in Pennsylvania, taking part in family snowball fights, and trapping small animals. He would go on to be the very first pitcher to win a Gold Glove at his position. He would go on to win 8 in a row during his career. He has the 4th most ever Gold Gloves for a pitcher, behind only Greg Maddux, 18, Jim Cott, 16, and Bob Gibson, 9. He was also an All-Star in 1958, the AL MVP in 1952, and World Series champ in 1958 with the Yankees, even though he missed it due to injury. He has a career 119 and 99 record, with a career 3.38 ERA and 1,072 career strikeouts. And as you guessed it, this player is Mr. Bobby Shantz. There he is in the 1954 Bowman, and he inscribed that card beautifully. 1952 AL MVP, 3-time All-Star, 3-time World Series, 1958 World Series champs, 48 saves, and 8 Gold Gloves. That looks great. That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Shantz. So happy to add that to the collection. It's a great looking card. All right, next up. Next up, we have a 1 of 1. This was a $5 donation. And this was 24 days, and this is out of Northwest Arkansas, So this next outfielder played from 1958 through 1966 and was the 1960 AL Rookie of the Year and the Sporting News Rookie of the Year. He was also an All-Star in 1963. At 5 feet 5 inches, he was one of the smaller players of his time. This player made up for his lack of size and consequently power with hustle and determination. He doesn't give an inch, noted one observer. but then he doesn't have too many to give. The little man never has it made, said this outfielder. He also said, baseball primarily is a game of big men, but what the Lord takes away in stature, he makes up for by giving the little fellow something else, that extra drive and heart. Paul Richards, who was my manager when I played for Baltimore, told me that baseball or anything else that's worthwhile is like a greased flagpole. If you keep climbing, you're not going to get any worse, and you may get better. But if you stop, you're going to slide right down. This player even spent one winter, from 1961 through 1962, as a morning disc jockey from 1 to 5 in the morning on KPRO, a 1,000-watt station in Riverside. And this diminutive player is none other than, as you baseball junkies might have figured, Albie Pearson. There it is on the 1966 tops, and he described it perfectly. AL Rookie of the Year in 58, AL All-Star in 1963. Fantastic. That one looks great. Excited to have that one. Thank you so much, Mr. Pearson. It is truly, truly appreciated. All right, so next up, we have a 1 of 1. This was also a $5 donation, and this was 14 days. And I don't know if I mentioned, Pearson was 24 days for the return. And this one comes to us out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And this next pitcher, he played from 1959 through 1975. He won the AL Cy Young Award in 1970 and was a 3-time All-Star. He is also a member of the Twins Hall of Fame. And in 1974, he was traded back to his original team, the Indians. He was teamed with his Hall of Fame brother. The brother combination won 38 games for the Indians that year. His Hall of Fame brother went 21-13 with a 2.51 ERA, and this pitcher went 17-12 with a 2.96 ERA. But the rest of the staff fell flat. No other pitcher posted double-digit wins. Their 38 wins were almost half of the team's total of 77 wins that season. That's pretty amazing. This pitcher even managed to get 2 wins in a single day. The original game went 16 innings and was suspended and completed the following day. This pitcher pitched the final 2 innings for the win against the Pilots. He started the regularly scheduled game that day and blanked the Pilots 4-0, pitching 9 shutout innings. Post-playing career, he was a scout for the Oakland A's. His top signee during that time was Terry Steinbach. And this player's son was also a golfer on the PGA Tour. Very interesting. And this player is none other than, as you may have guessed, Mr. Jim Perry. There he is on the Indians card. His rookie card, 1959 tops. Then he just wrote a note. Danny, thanks for the... So the money all will go to charity. There we go. All right. Put that there. Thank you so much, Mr. Perry. That looks fantastic. I appreciate it. All right. Let's keep it going. Next up, this was a 3 of 3, 16 days. There was no fee. And this is out of North Texas, Texas, Dallas, Texas. All right. So this next player pitched from 1957 through 1975. He compiled a 196.95 record with a 3.3 ERA and 1,612 strikeouts. He was a 3-time All-Star and an important cog in the 1965 World Series champion Dodgers rotation. He had a .64 ERA that series to go with a 1-1 record, including a shutout. Over a 14-year period from 1962 to 1975, this pitcher suffered no serious arm injury and averaged 34 starts and 242 innings per year. On his longevity, he commented, "I had a delivery which didn't put pressure on any key points of my shoulder, elbow, or arm. His success was a product of hard work and cerebral approach to pitching. We threw a lot. We threw between starts. That was sacred. You pitch on Monday, rest on Tuesday, and Wednesday is the bullpen session. You don't just go down there to throw. You actually work on the things, and that is where you learn how your pitches break and how much movement you got." This approach provided him the basis for a career as a minor league and major league coach and pitching coach for decades, including stints with the Cardinals, Phillies, Rangers, and Dodgers. Even after retirement, he remained close to the game as a scout and consultant for the Arizona Diamondbacks. While the Phillies pitching coach, he had 3 of his pitchers win Cy Young Awards: Steve Carlton in '82, John Denny in '83, and reliever Steve Bedrosian in 1987. he would comment, "The game has changed a lot. It is all about power and how fast you throw the ball. I don't think the guys today have the control we had, especially when you are behind in the count. The way scouts scout today, it is a possibility that guys like Tom Glavine, Randy Jones, myself, Tommy John might not have gotten signed today because the scouts are looking for 92 to 93 mile an hour pitches. That's a troubling thought, as baseball would have been robbed of excellent pitchers. A thinking man's pitcher with an eye for detail. This pitcher should be remembered for his consistency, dependability, and professionalism." And this pitcher is Mr. Claude Osteen. And there he is on the 72 tops in action. Not a well-loved 1971 tops. And a 1972 tops, which came out fantastic. And he was nice enough to answer a question. Mr. Osteen, who was the toughest hitter you ever faced? In my era, there were so many great players. Cepeda gave me trouble. That's what makes the game great. You have to find a way to get them out. Can't read the other word there, but to get them out. That's awesome. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate you taking the time to answer the question. There you go. All righty. So next up, we have a 2 of 2, and this was 8 days. And this was a $5 per, and this is out of Columbia, South Carolina. So this next player played in the league from 1955 through 1966. He was an 8-time All-Star, 3-time World Series champ, 5-time Gold Glove winner, and 1960 World Series MVP on the losing side. He played in 7 World Series, 36 games in all, including a Major League record 30 consecutive World Series games. At this point, you know who this great player is. Although his early Yankee years were not too easy, Bobby Richardson persisted, aided by his dad's support and his faith. Everyone, his teammates, his fans, the media, knew Bobby as a Southern Baptist, to be a righteous and right-living man. Stengel said famously of Richardson, "Look at him. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't chew, he doesn't stay out late, and he still can't hit 250. In 1959 was Richardson's breakout year. Bobby gives much of the credit for his hitting improvements to batting coach Bill Dickey. The Hall of Famer told Bobby to use a heavier bat and swing harder, and suddenly, sharply hit ground balls and line drives were piling up the hits. He had the highest batting average on the club, and he was third on the team in hits and triples. His 2 hits on the last day of the 1959 season against the Baltimore Orioles make for a great baseball story. The Bombers did not even have one 300 hitter that year. Before that final game, Casey Stengel learned that Bobby, who had hit safely in the last 18 consecutive games, needed just 1 hit to reach that mark. He told Bobby, "Get a hit and I'll take you out." It turned out that Bobby had friends on the Orioles too. Third baseman Brooks Robinson passed by to say, "I'll be playing deep today," inviting Bobby to bunt for a hit. The Orioles catcher Joe Ginsberg let Bobby know that starting pitcher Billy O'Dell, an off-season hunting buddy of Richardson's, would lay his pitches in. Even first base umpire Ed Hurley knew what was going on. "If you hit it on the ground, just make it close," he told Bobby. But on his first trip to the plate, Bobby hit a line drive to right field that, guess who? That gentleman, Albie Pearson, snared. Pearson was one of my closest friends in the game, Bobby said. We'd spoken together at church. He must have been the only person in the ballpark who didn't know I was supposed to get my hit. But Bobby collected 2 singles off his pal Odell to finish precisely at .3006 before Casey pinch hit for him in the 8th inning. That's a great story for a deserving guy. Phenomenal, phenomenal person. There he is on the 65 tops. He inscribed his number with 8-time All-Star. And on the 1958 tops with his number 1 and 60 World Series MVP. And he included his customary car testimonial, his final inning about Mickey Mantle. This was, I've already read this before. It was pretty, it was great. It was really nice to read. So if you guys want to pause it, and just read it. Very cool. Very awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Richardson. Glad to have those returned. All right. Sorry it's taking a little long, guys. I apologize. And our last return. Let's take these out. The last return comes to us from North Houston, Texas. This was a 5 of 3 from this gentleman. Very awesome of him. 5 of 3. I sent 3 cards and he signed 2 index cards. All right. So our last player, he played from 1956 through 1971. He even had a short stint with my New York Mets and is a member of the Astros Hall of Fame. One of the few remaining Brooklyn Dodgers, along with Mr. Erskine, that are still with us. He was also one of the original Houston Colt 45 players. On April 24th, 1965, he became the first Houston player to homer in the newly opened Astrodome against Vern Law as part of a 5-0 Astros victory over Pittsburgh. He played basketball and baseball at Lafayette High School in New York. He was a teammate of future Hall of Famer Sandy Koufax on the basketball and baseball teams. He noted that Hall of Famer Sandy Koufax was 2 years ahead of him at Lafayette and won notoriety not in baseball, but believe it or not, basketball. He said that Koufax, who pitched very little in high school, was the team's first baseman. Here's an awesome story about this player, just like Mr. Richardson. I'm sure many of you know already that the player I'm talking about is Mr. Bob Aspromonte, and here's the amazing story. Excuse me, 1963, an unusual and extraordinary human interest story involving Mr. Aspromonte, a.k.a. Aspro, and a 9-year-old boy named Billy Bradley reached its zenith. The story actually began on April 30th, 1962. While drinking water at a fountain in El Dorado, Arkansas, Billy was struck by lightning. Although he survived, the bolt robbed him of his vision. Billy's family took him to Houston for eye treatments with Dr. Louis Gerard. While undergoing a series of surgeries to restore his eyesight, Billy listened to the Colt 45's on the radio. He soon adopted Bob Aspromonte as his favorite player. Eventually, the Colt 45's were notified of Billy's request for Aspromonte to visit him at Houston's Methodist Hospital. Accompanied by teammate Joe Amalfitano, shout out to Patrick's Baseball Cards, who actually just got him back yesterday or today, I believe. That was a great return. Aspro visited Billy on May 7th, 1962, bringing a glove, a ball, a transistor radio, and Colt 45's pajamas as gifts. Before the players left, Billy asked Aspromonte to hit a home run that night against the Dodgers. Aspro countered that while he was not a home run hitter, he would try to honor the boy's request. Houston built a 5-0 lead by the second inning, only to trail the Dodgers 6-5 in the 7th. With 2 runners on base in the bottom of the half of the inning, Aspromonte came to bat. He was 2 for 3 at that point, with 2 singles. On a 3-1 pitch from lefty Pete Reichert, Aspromonte lined a 3-run homer to provide the margin of victory in Houston's 9-6 win. At the same time, he consummated the improbable scenario of delivering on an offer to hit a home run for a child. The Bradley family returned to Houston in 1963 for additional eye treatments. Aspromonte took them to lunch on June 11th. And again, Billy asked Aspromonte to hit a home run for him. Battling chronic back pain, Aspromonte was struggling through perhaps his worst season in uniform. Although batting a feeble 198, he nevertheless told Billy that he would try to deliver another home run for him against the Cubs. The Cubs and the Colt 45's went into extra innings, deadlocked at 2-2. Pitcher Hal Woodishick led off the 10th inning with a single against Lindy McDaniel and was lifted for pinch runner Bob Lillis. Ernie Fazio bunted, and a throwing error by Ernie Banks advanced the runners to scoring position. Brooke Davis was walked to load the bases for the struggling Aspromonte. 1 for 4 in the night with a single, Aspro faced his final chance to deliver on Billy's request. Accordingly, he hit a 2-2 pitch on the screws, delivering a walk-off grand slam to left field. A humbled Aspromonte averred that he could not have done this on his own, that he had help coming from somewhere. On July 26th, it's amazing, July 26th, Billy Bradley was in Houston yet again to see Dr. Gerard. Once again, he met with Aspromonte, and once again, he requested a home run. Aspro was homerless since the Grand Slam, and his hitting had deteriorated even further to 176 over his last 20 games. This time, Aspro told Billy he was pushing his luck and suggested instead that Billy settle for a couple of base hits. By this time, Billy's eyesight had been partially restored, and he was able to watch the game at Colt Stadium. Tracy Stallard of the Mets had loaded the bases with Al Spangler, Rusty Staub, and Jimmy Wynn when Aspromonte came to bat in the bottom of the first. Astonishing even himself, Aspro once again hit a grand slam. Houston broadcaster Gene Elston was aware of the human interest story involving Billy Bradley and referred to it on the air. The game was interrupted to retrieve the ball, and Aspromonte and Bradley hugged. A New York sports writer asked Aspromonte, "Are you doing it for the boy, or is the boy doing it for you?" Aspro replied, "It's almost spooky, isn't it? But if Bill will stick around, I'll be tempted to buy him a season ticket. It's a great thrill to see how happy it makes the boy." Talk about an amazing story. Definitely higher power at work here. That's just simply amazing. So Mr. Aspromonte, Aspro was nice enough to sign as a member of the Colts. There it is. A 1962 Topps. Awesome. There he is on the 1965. I believe Mr. Myers just got that back as well. And there's the fave, the 1971 Topps with the Mets. Obviously not Mets uniform, but that's fine. I'll take it. And he was also kind enough to sign 2 index cards. 2 Dan, Bob Aspromonte, and Bob Aspromonte. Very awesome. All right, everyone. These are some great returns, some legends from the 1950s, some amazing players, and some amazing stories for sure. Thank you to all the players for taking the time to sign. I really appreciate it. Some great individuals here. And thank you, everyone, for sticking with me. 22 minutes here. This was really long, so I apologize, but thank you for sticking through. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Enjoy these returns. And thank you, everyone, as always, for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I'll see everyone soon. Take care and be well.